Hello, welcome to the Peter Repeater, episode 25. I'll do a tweet at the Peter Repeater and then we'll get on to interesting things to talk about. So, today I've listened to a nice podcast in parts called The Fighter and the Kid. I really enjoyed that. And I've also had a nice meal, pleasantly cooked by my family, so I really enjoyed that as well. And all in all, things are fairly good, and I'm pretty happy with life and stuff. So hopefully I can get everything sorted out and this YouTube can more or less work, because it doesn't always work. Cool. So it's live. Brilliant. It's working now. Yeah. So there's the Peter Repeater, and I'll keep on repeating. Hopefully this video works. So thank you for listening and watching. I've done my tweet and just thinking about life. Yeah, I want to... having this time at home has made me really think about what's important and what I want out of life. And I quite like doing things I like and being in my comfort zone and everything. That's quite a nice experience. So, listening to podcasts, meditating, making podcasts, and just that is quite nice. But there is something lacking. I don't get the full experience of being productive and doing something worthwhile. I don't know if that's a necessary component of life. So in a way, this podcast is probably in an essence of me trying to make the most out of life and be fairly content with my situation. Creaking chair a second. I probably need to change the change the height of the tripod. But yeah, just I'm content in my life. I do things I like, but sometimes the days can get a bit samey, and I want some variety. I want to do something. I want to meet people, and that isn't always possible. So hopefully I can find a way of doing that. And I think there will be periods in my life where I do that. But it's like, what do I value more? Like having something productive to do and feeling useful? Or do I value being able to wake up in the morning when I want? And both are very useful parts of feeling good about yourself. But just being able to have enough sleep is like really valuable, and that's what I find important at the moment. And I suppose the good thing about life is that things change, and I might quite like my situation at the moment where I don't do very much, and in the future I might find it better when I'm able to do things that make me feel useful and productive, like doing a course at college. So that, I think, will be a welcome change, where I can be content with what I'm doing and do something a bit different, have a bit of variety. So I don't necessarily have to feel like I'm always doing the same thing. And I think it's good to have breaks here and there. But usually when I have breaks, I'm able to go out and do things and meet people and just live a little. But I'm just stuck inside a lot every day. And I think that is getting to me a little bit. I never thought it would, but it just is a little bit. Just feeling like you're just doing the same every day. And maybe it's very difficult to find purpose and meaning in times like these when we're stuck inside all the time. It just doesn't seem optimal. I just think there's better things that I could be doing. But it's not too bad. This podcast situation is quite a fun thing to do. I can say what I like and be honest about life and stuff like that. So something that's interesting to me is, what would perfect society look like? Um, would we have jobs, or would we have no jobs? Because you can't, you can definitely have no job and then feel lost in what you're doing, and just get a little bit depressed and don't feel like fully happy. But then on the converse, you can be stuck in a job that you don't really like, and then that can be quite difficult. And I think I prefer my life now than to what it was like when I was working. Now's quite a bit better, and I'm just basically happier about my situation. But I don't think it's perfect. I think I would like to feel useful, um, and I have that possibility. Of doing that, but I just have to bear in mind not to put too much pressure on myself to feel like I have to do everything and get all the latest qualifications and get the best job. I don't need to necessarily achieve everything and be all things at one time. I don't have to necessarily make sure my life is perfect, or I do what other people want, because a lot of things that I've done in my life I've done for myself, but I've also done stuff for other people, and it's always better when you do stuff for yourself, when you truly meditate on what you're doing and make sure what you're doing is for your own personal good. And there's real comfort in that, feeling like you're doing stuff for other motives and not because you genuinely want to do it. Because I genuinely want to do this podcast, and there's no like third factor involved that's making me want to do something that I don't want to do in order for something else. Because like basically a job you don't like is doing something you don't want to do for money or for other reasons, but that's the main reasons. And it's not a perfect situation. It's much better to do stuff you genuinely want to do. So I'm always gonna ask that in my life: am I doing stuff that I genuinely want to do? But life isn't so easy like that. Sometimes you can easily get stuck in a particular job, and you can't get out of it because you're like paying all the bills, and you want to continue the luxuries of life and stuff. And I think it seems silly to, I don't know, to leave home and look after yourself and be self-sufficient and feel like you have to do that when you could just live like a simpler life. Like, because if I spent my life, not working, I wouldn't have that effort, and then I could do things I genuinely want to do. But then work can give you these opportunities and make sure that you're doing stuff that's genuinely pretty interesting and stuff. So I don't know, I'm in a bit mixed about the whole idea of work. Doing a 37-hour 40-hour week just seems a bit much in general, and I wish that it could be a bit easier, and I could do something I genuinely like. And I don't know what my dream would be. Would it be to be a software developer and make the most out of that, or would my dream be to be an IT technician in a primary school, fairly relaxed, or would my dream to be stay at home forever, never leave my parents? Probably one of those things, or I think I'm going to leave home if everything goes well. But then who knows, in the world like this where we're stuck at home and no one's working, it can be difficult to stay at home and everything. So I just hope that I get to live my life how I want to, and I think the fact that I've got 3 years studying, if everything goes to plan, means that I can fully concentrate on something that I truly find worthwhile, and I think that would be really good for me. And this whole idea of trying to prepare for university, I don't think you can really do that much. So I would just be in the moment, learn as I go along, and it should be fine. And the whole idea of my college, I think it's like 2 or 3 days a week, and you make the most out of it, and have time. A lot of the days when you can just sleep in, and I quite like that. And this whole idea of like doing loads of coding in my own time, and then getting a job as soon as possible, that would be good from a money point of view. But from a point of view of being able to have a work-life balance, it'd be a terrible idea. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I might have to get a job alongside studies because it's part of the course, but I don't have to get it straight away. Yeah, so hopefully I figure it out then, and I don't need to worry about it now. So I don't know how long I've got at home. I've got April, May, June, July, August. It's quite a lot of months. I think I'll be more or less okay, and I can just sit back and relax, and everything will be more or less fine, which should be good. Yeah. So I have enough of everything, and I can get by. I don't know. I got a message on Twitter, a bit random. Yeah. So I think it would be good, and I think everything will more or less work out, will it? Yeah, I think it's more or less work out. You think that you need to do certain things in life, like get a certain qualification and get a certain job, but at the end of the day, you're still alive, breathing, hopefully, and you still do the same stuff. You're always okay, even when things go wrong. You're always okay, roughly. And it's probably not true for everyone, but I think it's true for most people. Most people find their feet again. And I don't get this whole idea of feeling trapped in a job, and I don't get it. I don't get why people do it. Like to pay off a house, to buy a house, to have a mortgage. Like, what are you all doing it for? And then you look forward to retirement. I don't like to think of my bulk of my life, 20s, 30s, 40s, as working age. It just depresses me. I hope it's the time where I'm most free, and I'm able to do things that I truly enjoy and stuff like that. I should probably stop that. Yeah. So everything's more or less okay, and yeah, I probably shouldn't be touching my face at all during times like these, but never mind. So, what am I going to do after this podcast? I'm going to listen to The Fighter and the Kids. They're funny. And I'll do some meditation. And then it'll be the end of the day again. It's always the end of the day. Is it Monday today? Tuesday. Wow. Crazy. Time just goes by. It's always the end of the day again. I should probably do variety in my day, I don't have to always do the same. Don't have to always do podcasts, and I could read a book. Yeah, I might do that. After I've read my own book, An Unbelievable God, I could read someone else's book. I've got that little time in my day where I can read books, so that's good. And life's fairly good at the moment. I forget forget how good it is that I could just talk to you on YouTube and then make the most out of life afterwards. Listen to a podcast, do some meditation, and if I'm sensible, I could probably go to bed quite early because I've been in the habit of going to bed quite late. So if I was in bed by 11, that would be good, because then I'd wake up earlier. I'm going crazy on my Twitter. Twitter's getting out of hand, following loads of people, and some people following me back. I've got 200 and something followers and following over 1,000, 290 something followers. Lots of people to follow, and I don't think they even notice my tweets about, the videos and stuff. Oh well, what can I do in situations like these? I can consider what's really important in life. I don't really know the answer, so I do know the answer to that question. Yeah, but what should I focus on? I could focus on my well-being rather than money or career aspirations. If my focus was my well-being, then I wouldn't feel guilt about not working or not studying or not trying my best, because all of that is focused around earning money. And instead I could focus on something worthwhile, like my mental health or my relaxation or my sleeping or my social interactions, and I could focus on something that I really value. And I think I should do that. That would be a good idea. So if I can focus on things I really value, and if I always do that, I can never really go wrong, because focusing on like outside things which aren't part of your core essence, that don't align with your true human spirit, like focusing on getting the top grades at school so you can get into the best university, so you can get the best job, like that doesn't make you happy, doesn't give you contentment, because at any time I could become something less and I could still live a good life. Like, who's to say that the cleaner is less happy than the stockbroker? Like, probably the cleaner's happier most of the time. I don't know. There's no one way of doing life, and I think if I made life decisions and I did things that actually benefit what I really care about and actually make me a happier, more relaxed person, if that was my focus, then I could actually be happier and closer to where I want to be, and I don't have to go after these degrees and fancy jobs, because I might not be any better off than I have been before. Because what difference does it make if you're stuck in an office doing stuff? What difference does it make what you're doing in the office? It might just be more boring, more of the same. Probably it doesn't make that much difference. So this whole idea of like money and stuff, if something earns you more money, if you've got a more technical role in front of a computer, it just seems a bit silly. That's how I envision everyone, is just stuck in front of a computer doing stuff. That's how I think everything happens, because that's what I've used to. Because I've got a job stuck in front of a computer for 7.5 hours a day, and I'm going to university to get another job stuck in front of a computer for 7.5 hours or 8 hours a day, and then what have I achieved? Well, one means I've got more money, like, so what? It really doesn't matter. Yeah, so I think I'll figure things out. You know, ideally I wouldn't have to have a job, but I don't know. It's all up in the air at the moment. I don't have to have a real job until I finish my university. Then university's hard, probably. I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I'm not very useful, in that I just feel a little bit like useless. Yeah, and I used to feel so good about myself at school, getting all these compliments with the grades, and being academically minded and doing things well, and the teachers would compliment you, and everything would go really well, and now life isn't quite so easy. Now I'm old, I'm working age, but I don't want to work. I do sound like just some guy on benefits just complaining. I'm not on benefits, but yeah, it's just not so good. I'm glad that I've made decisions which aren't money focused, because if I was money focused, I'd be on job seekers allowance, looking for a job and everything, and I'm not doing that. I'm just sitting still. I don't know, dropped a battery. It's probably not that important to pick it up, but yeah. So yeah, at the moment I'm just sitting still and talking about stuff, and sitting still and not working and not having money income, and as happy as I've been for a long time, to be honest. I'm not even that happy. Life will get better, surely. I think it will be. Yeah. I remember the last time I was really happy. When was that? I do have moments of happiness. It's a bit of a vague thing, but last time I was really happy. Year 7. When I was 11, maybe. Yeah. That was peak. Can't get any better than that, really. Yeah, so yeah, I think my best years are ahead of me. I really do, which is a good thing to think. Really worthwhile, and I just think it's going to be really helpful just to think I've got best years ahead of me. I could have a family. I could have a real life, and that's all to come. I could meet a girl, have a family, and have a nice time. All these things are possible, and I hope they happen. Which is fairly cool. Yeah. So all things considered, I think I'll more or less be okay. Yeah. Don't always I don't always feel okay up to doing stuff, but then luckily I don't often have to be up to doing stuff. That's good. There will be times. I don't know if there will be times where I have to do stuff. Anyway, interesting things to talk about. What do I think the perfect society would look like. That's why I asked. Would I be working? Would I not be working? What would be the situation? I think perfect life, you would have a sense of community, you'd have productivity, you'd have creativity, and you'd have lots of things that you can do, and you have freedom to do as much or as little as you want. I think that would be really cool. Yeah. So would life have been better if none of this staying at home business happened? I think there'd be more pressure on me to do stuff if other people around me were doing lots of stuff. But luckily there isn't. I wouldn't say life's perfect, but it's not that bad. But the whole world I could be having. I could have a child and all sorts. I think I'll have all those good things to look forward to, and I hope they happen. That would be good. Yeah, so lots of good times ahead, good things to look forward to, and people watching, people young, if you're watching, then I would say the school part of life, don't focus on the actual school. Doesn't matter long term, unless you want to always focus on stuff like that and focus on the job and everything. Like, doesn't really matter long term. Focus on making friends and making jokes and just making the most out of your time at school. Just try and just talk to people. Yeah, I don't think I made the most of school. I was a bit unlucky in how things worked out. I had a best friend that moved away, but yeah, it might have taught me a life lesson to really value friends and make the most out of it. Because if it just comes naturally to you, being in friendship groups and everything, you may just feel that you're not in a good place and think that things aren't worthwhile. So you need to make the most out of school and out of everything, out of your opportunities to talk to people, have a life and stuff. I suppose that's part of the thing you can do at university, and I've got that to look forward to, but I don't know if it will quite be in the same university environment. Might be able to make jokes and everything, be a student. I've got that in my future. It was such a long time ago I was a student. I really miss it, and I get to do it again, which is something to really look forward to and be happy about, that I can be a student again. There's something about it. I like it. It's good. And then after the student, I have to wake up, go to the world of work, or not, or I could have some other way of making the most out of life. I could be earning book revenue. You don't know. Yeah, I could live a life of leisure and have book revenue and stuff, and that could be my way of doing things. Or I could have podcast sponsors and adverts on my channel. It'll be a real achievement getting to 100 Peter repeaters, because I'm so still in my talking that I think that the videos stopped working and need to be more animated. Anyway, yeah, I want to get to 100 Peter repeaters because I've never done 100 of something YouTube wise. Not in a row. Not ever really. 100. I did 98 Rocket Leagues and an extra 2. Yeah. So hopefully I can keep talking, find interesting things to talk about, and you could say maybe you should do one of these podcasts a day, and then you'd have more interesting things to talk about because you'd have done research and everything. I just think the day gets a bit long when you've got all that time to watch YouTube and everything. Having it broken up into productive things is quite a nice way of just putting your life into chunks, basically. Compartmentalizing. Compartmentizing. I don't know if that's a word. Definitely not a word. But yeah, just putting your life into chunks, into compartments, and making sure you have break and stuff. And I should probably do something different with my day, but what are you going to do, eh? Just I've got the podcast, and it's not just podcast, it's me talking about interesting stuff. So I probably shouldn't view it as a podcast. Just podcast, and listen to podcasts. It's not just listen to podcasts. You're listening to interesting stuff, so you really are making the most out of your time. And meditating it's not just meditating. It's you're thinking interesting stuff, and things really matter. And yeah, so it's my life is good, and I think it's going to get better, which is fairly good, and that would be quite nice. Have something to look forward to and be really pleased about. So that's my podcast. I can't promise that they'll get more interesting, but maybe maybe things will happen in my life and I can talk about them. Yeah. At the minute, it just seems that I do podcast after podcast, and I have nothing to talk about outside of the podcast, really. Maybe I should read books and listen to more podcasts. I'll have something. If Joe Rogan uploads something, I'll have something to talk about. Yeah. It's not all doom and gloom. The Fighter and the Kid and Joe Rogan and Russell Brand will come to my rescue. And I'll watch that this evening, and I'll watch a bit in the morning, and then I'll be back ready for fighting for more entertainment and interesting stuff to talk about. So I really appreciate if you're watching this retrospectively. It's fairly cool. The Peter Repeater episode 25. That's quite a lot, to be fair. It's a good amount of Peter repeating, and brought to you by Peter. Let's see my Twitter. 33 minutes ago, that can't be right. I tried to get 40 minutes. 40 minutes is my aim. Okay, I've got 7 more minutes to do. Yeah, no, I don't think my Twitter's working. Oh well, at least I got followers that don't look at my tweets. I've got the odd like sometimes. Podcast live now, episode 25. So people can look at my podcast, and I can have followers and everything, and it can all be more or less good. So yeah, you know, I'm learning how to do this podcast. I'll get better at it, maybe. Maybe I'll even prepare for it. Find things to talk about in advance. That would be good. Yeah. Don't necessarily always have stuff to talk about, really. No. Anyway. So what would my perfect life look like? I think Joe Rogan's life. He's a bit too busy. So just have the podcast part of Joe Rogan's life. That just seems like a good life. Maybe I should be a comedian. I don't know if I'm funny enough, really. Maybe I am. Just do some stand-up comedy. Get outside of my comfort zone. I could try. It's a good time in life to try. Yeah, do some stand-up comedy. That'd be really useful for the podcast as well. I'm just so influenced by everyone that I watch on YouTube. They're all comedians doing podcasts. So if I just had, if I did stand-up comedy with the podcast, and maybe that would be a bit of fun. Where do I do stand-up comedy, So anywhere close by. Yeah, I just find somewhere. See if there's somewhere local, and I can do stand-up comedy, and then it can be a bit of fun. It just seems like the perfect life to be a comedian. Just being able to make people laugh. And I think when I'm at my funniest, I'm really, really quite funny. Really make the most out of stuff. When I have a bit more energy, I can have a stand-up comedian and make the most out of life, and be a fun thing to try, wouldn't it? Stand-up comedy. Like the first time you go up, and there's a lot of jokes like bombing and not being funny and everything, and that would be difficult, but I just think it would make life so much more interesting. I'd have to think of jokes. I'd have to write jokes. That's insane. Sitting down and writing jokes. It's funny though. Yeah. Made a joke today. Yeah. Yeah, I did. It's great. So, podcast. It's not, life's not like that. It's not all about podcasts. Eventually, what I did do, for those interested since the last podcast, the numbers I have in my thumbnail for which podcast it is, the numbers I have in my podcast, yes, I spit it out. I have a separate separate Photoshop with all the numbers saved, so I can just change them out, 0 to 9. So whenever I need a number, I can just find it. So I don't have to always go to the website and get the font and edit it out. I can just always have and they're all the right size as well. So I can just have them all at hand, ready to go. So yeah, that's quite good. And I've got the podcast set up. I realise that people on the internet, when they're popular and doing stuff with lots of viewers, they have they're like hundreds into their podcast. So, I'm only just starting, and you don't really go back to watch things which are under 100 really, unless you're H3 Productions, when you're already popular and you're starting it. But all these comedians starting podcasts is what everyone's doing. I'm just getting a bit ahead. I could do this for 10 years. If I did this for 10 years, people would start watching eventually. Even if it was like year 3 or something into it, I'd eventually get people to watch. That'd be quite nice. Anyway, so let's see. Our time hasn't gone on that much. Let's see this tweet. 34 minutes ago, that can get lost. I've been talking for ages. Yeah, anyway, 39 minutes ago, I think I can safely say this podcast has been 40 minutes long. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening. I know that some people watch it retrospectively and sometimes they rarely get watched, but I talk here quite often. Nothing's written in sand, but I don't know what that means. But I'm not always do it. I don't always do it twice a day, but I have been recently. So provisionally, I'll be here tomorrow probably. So just look out for a new podcast and look at my Twitter, the Pete Repeater, and we'll reconvene. Talk tomorrow. Okay, thank you for watching and listening. Appreciate it. Look forward to hundreds of more podcasts. Bye for now.